I woke up this morning joyful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. I woke up this morning joyful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. Sing it. I woke up this morning joyful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. I woke up this morning joyful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. 'Cause I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. I woke up this morning grateful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. I woke up this morning grateful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. I woke up this morning grateful as can be. Ooh, that's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. So much gratitude. I woke up this morning grateful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. 'Cause I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life, isn't it? I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. Keep going. I love being alive. Sing it from the rooftops. It's the greatest thing about my life. I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. Okay, here's where we get really silly. I think that the basis of this wild existence is playfulness. It's all about play. So I invite you today and this morning to play, to be silly, to do funny voices and make weird noises and sing and dance and make a funny face. So let's do that together. I woke up this morning playful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. I woke up this morning playful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. I woke up this morning playful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. 'Cause I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. I love being alive. Wow. It's the greatest thing about my life. Oh, I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. Oh, meow, 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 meow. Meow. I don't know what that last noise was before that last meow, but it was weird. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you so much. Nice to have you here this morning.
I'm so excited to be co-creating the morning with you, Dr. Morgan. This is going to be so fun.
Yes.
Yes.
It's good to see you. So good morning, everybody online this morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. This is a center where we honor all who are on their spiritual pathway, who practice their beliefs in faith and love. I am Reverend Dr. Maureen Hoyt, Emeritus of the Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills, and a longtime friend of CSL-LA. I go back to the days of David Walker, for sure. It's my privilege and honor to be your guest minister for this service today, as Reverend Keith is taking a well-deserved weekend off. We come together every Sunday as a spiritual community, and it is our goal and intention to provide a safe space for all expressions of life to find their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. We welcome and celebrate all genders, all ages, all sizes, all colors, all ethnicities, all beliefs, all religions, all cultures, all sexual orientations. In reality, we accept all people. So if this is your first time joining us online, or if this is your every Sunday spiritual home, as our founding spiritual leader, Dr. David Walker, used to say, welcome one and welcome all. Earlier, you had the pleasure of hearing our lead-in music from our guest musician, Jessie Powers. We're happy to have her today, and you'll hear more from her a little bit later. Each and every Sunday celebration, we open our service with a ritual called Lighting the Flames of Faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from that one great presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. The first candle we light for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. The second candle we light for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. The third candle we light for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. The fifth candle we light for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle we light for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. The eighth candle is lit for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. The ninth candle we light for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. The 10th candle is the healing candle. And that candle, figuratively speaking, is lit for anyone who may be experiencing a challenge or a suffering, and most especially anyone and everyone who lost their homes in the fires that have raged through Los Angeles in the last week. Please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experienced the healing flame of God's eternal light. Jessie, it's time for calling in the light.
Alrighty. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. Repeat after me. I am love. I am peace. in my heart. I am free. I am spirit. I am soul. All together we are whole. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love.
And would you join me in consciousness this morning as I set the tone for our time together? Knowing the power and presence of Spirit has identified itself by means of each and every person in this time and space today. That as we come together in consciousness, there is no time or space in the mind of God. So we are together, one mind, one heart, one soul, one person. And we simply rest in the knowledge that whatever information is conveyed today is something that each one of us needs and wants to hear, so that we understand who we are at the level of spirit. We move into that consciousness of receptivity. We allow ourselves to be open and receptive to God's living spirit of truth by means of the music today, by means of the words that are spoken, by means of the presence of every other person who is here in this time and space with us. There is no sense of separation when we are joined together in a congruent and coherent way. And so today I open up to a greater idea of what needs to be conveyed, what needs to be said, and what needs to be heard, remembering that it is God listening to God and God speaking to God. And that, as Ernest Holmes would say, today ours is a conversation made in heaven. So from this place in consciousness, I joyfully receive and give thanks, knowing that this time together is done and complete in the mind of God, and we are simply here to fill in the details. As we say together, and so it is. So good morning again if you've just joined us. I'm Maureen Hoyt, and former minister at Granada Hills. I think probably I know just about everybody on this Zoom meeting this morning. But if the words of spiritual mind treatment are new to you, you will hear it as affirmative prayer. In the metaphysical teachings we practice here, our affirmation of the divinity exists within each and every expression of life. And we bring forth through our declaration of truth, the desired income for this time together is done and complete in the mind of God, as I said. And together we fill in the details as to how that looks in reality by setting an intention with the prayer itself. So now we get to welcome our guest musician, Jesse Powers, again, back to grace us with another song.
Thank you. So let's all just stay in that place of prayer. Shelter me with grace. Clarify my mind. Take away the veil Let me see your light. Take me to that place. Show my heart the way. And ooh, take me to the land of love. Ooh, take me to the land of love. Hold me, show me, raise me up. Oh, ooh, take me to the land of love. Help me to feel whole in all this humanness. 'Cause something in my mind is making me forget, but I know God is here. So let it all come clear. And ooh, take me to the land of love. Ooh, take me to the land of love. Hold me, oh, show me, raise me up. And ooh, take me to the land of love. My fears unfounded and my doubts resolved. My soul surrounded in the land of love. My fears unfounded, my doubts resolved, my soul surrounded in the land of love.
Okay. No.
Shelter
Thank
me
you.
with grace. Clarify my mind.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. Is that one of yours?
That is one of mine, yes.
Oh my goodness, that is just beautiful. Clarify my mind.
Thank you.
My goodness, thank you so much. You'll be back in a few, right?
Okay, yes, looking
All
forward to it. Looking
righty.
forward to your message. Thank you.
Good, thanks. Oh gosh, the material for the first four chapters of The Science of Mind is so rich. I could talk for 3 hours on just each chapter, but I won't do that to you today. You know, in 2 days, it's going to be Ernest Holmes' birthday. He was born January 21st, 1887, and wherever he is, he's celebrating his 137th birthday. As many of you know, he founded the Institute of Religious Science, which he never intended to be a church. However, all things being equal, that's how it ended up. And I am personally grateful that he opted for a 501c3 as a church and an education vehicle. So, like I said, almost everyone in our movement has been doing the first four chapters, Roman numeral chapters of the Science of Mind. And you've already heard the thing itself, the way it works from Dr. Keith on the first and second Sundays. But if you haven't yet heard, I always do a little review of the chapters as we go along. And the thing itself is God. Having been raised in the Catholic Church tradition, if I said within earshot of our parish priest that God is a thing, I would have been consigned with penance of 10 Hail Marys for 10 days straight, just to get back in God's grace again. Just a reminder to those who might have issue with the word God, it is simply a placeholder for the undefinable. One of the trick questions on the oral panels in the ministerial studies program is when the student is asked to define God, the answer would be, I cannot define God. I cannot define the ineffable. I can only define the nature of God, which is peace, power, love, etc., as Reverend Keith points out on a regular basis. Just as my name, Maureen, does not define me, nor does the name Keith define him, or Wendy define her, they are placeholders for our spiritual recognition of one another. The second chapter is the way God's Spirit, works in our lives. And the way God works for us is through us and by means of us. I am here to share what it does. And after 35 years of Sunday talks, I am sure there are myriad ways to convey this information. Go back to the slide, Travis, please. Emily Cady from Lessons in Truth said, no person or thing in the universe, no chain of circumstances can by any possibility interpose itself between you and all good. You may think that something stands between you and your heart's desire, and so live with that desire unfulfilled. But it is not true. Deny it, and you will see clearly that nothing can stand between you and your good. Emily Cady was the one who founded the retreat center Findhorn in northern Scotland. In reading Ernest Holmes this week, I go to the miracle of mind, that source of all inspiration. Think of Beethoven and Einstein and every person who has ever created anything. It was first a glimmer, an idea in mind. Then, with emotion and conviction, the miracle takes form and we see the result in our thoughts. Next slide, please. Everything is created twice, first in thought, then in form. I can't really create anything in my life without first thinking about what that thing is going to look like when I have it, or when I do it, or when I am it. So everything is created twice. This is the miracle we need to embrace. When we think errant thoughts, we get errant results. When we think positive and life-affirming thoughts, we get positive and life-affirming results. Sometimes we get challenged in the realities of life, as I am sure most of the people who were victimized by the fires in the last couple of weeks. I felt victimized to a certain extent because last week and the week before last, I was without power for 4 out of 7 days each week. And it changes the whole dynamic of how we think and what we do. One of my favorite quotes at the end of the year or the beginning of the new year came from a friend in the Pacific Northwest. He's an artist, a sculptor, a poet, and his name is Harold Blaze, and it's spelled Balazs, pronounced Blaze. Written on his New Year's card over 20 or more years ago. I used this as the focus in one of the talks in the first month of the year. Next slide, how do I conduct my life so that my efforts end up on the credit column of the planet's ledgers? How do I conduct my life? I'm personally responsible for however that shows up. I am cause to my own effect. And every effort that we make throughout the year, had we used this vision or mission, our lives would be the miracle to embrace. Harold, or Uncle Harold, as he's affectionately called by his students and his entire family, passed away at age 89 a couple of years ago. He was and is my friend Lisa's real uncle, her dad's only remaining sibling. And with so many great artists, his legacy is his work. And I'm fortunate enough to have one of his limited edition lithographs, which hangs on the wall in my bedroom. Most of his big art was done in stone or iron. And in fact, the Catholic Church that my my relatives went to in Spokane, Washington, has a huge statue of St. Francis of Assisi in the front that he sculpted. You know, there's something truly invincible about all of it, in that every work of art that he created will be his legacy and remain for generations to come. That's the legacy of what God does through him, and it remains a part of everyone and anyone who comes after to appreciate his artistic gifts. God, God has done so much by and through each and every person listening here today. If you just think about your whole life, there's a quote by Ernest Holmes, as the next slide. Ernest says that we need to know with scientific certainty that there is a consciousness and a power in the universe that responds to us definitely, directly, and dynamically. Each individual must arrive at a place in our own consciousness where this contact is so immediate and so dynamic that even if every other living soul denied it, we would still know. We would still know. You know, in line with this quote and what Emily Cady said, nothing can stand between us and our good. Nothing can stand between you and your good. What an entirely perfect affirmation. Nothing can stand between me and my good. And that's something, if we affirm this on a regular basis, even if we haven't quite adapted to the shift. How about saying, I am willing for nothing to stand between me and my good. You know, that at least gets the idea rolling. Dr. Walker used to say, don't ever let your good get in the way of the best. You know, nothing can stand between us and our good. This is what God does in our lives. In spite of the apparent destruction of the Palisades in Pasadena, if I took a consensus of everyone I know, we could still find something good that happened in our lives this week or last week. I mean, just even some of the videos of pets being reunited with their owners or their persons, if you will. That to me was just an amazing thing. Watching the firefighters, you know, bring a baby deer to safety, or a kitten to safety, or even I saw one where one of the firefighters was holding a raccoon. How is that even possible? But it's, you know, it's those animals don't have logical minds, I guess, because, you know, they were receptive to their good by means of those firefighters. And so the question today is, how receptive are we to the good God has in store for us? Ernest says that what God does, it does through our receptivity to it. When someone asks me to do prayer for them or spiritual mind treatment for them, I have a conversation with them a little bit about how receptive are you to having this in your life? Have you removed all the roadblocks? And a lot of times it's, you know, doing a prayer treatment around help removing the roadblocks, if you will. Are we holding our good at bay? You know, if someone wants to buy lunch for us, for instance, do we refuse the gift? That's holding our good at bay. If someone wants us to give us an ugly lamp, do we refuse that gift too? Reverend Helen Street said so many years ago that we break the cycle of God's good in our lives when we refuse anyone's gift, no matter how mundane, awful, or unwanted. When this happens, we are mandated to say thank you and pay it forward. Somebody out there really wants that butt ugly lamp, right? Receiving the gift of lunch can be paid forward when treating someone else. So, what is the real or imagined glass ceiling that we have to our receptivity? What is that? You know, all of the people who in the fires who lost everything just got out with the clothes on their back. People are bringing things to reclothe these people. They're bringing them toiletries. They're bringing them diapers for their babies and baby food for their babies. And it's not just um, um, the people who would normally do that in a disaster, but in fact, Ahaya CSL in Pasadena opened its doors that first night to people who lost their homes in the Eaton fire. In every, how much good of God's good are we open to receive? How much? Just a little bit, a lot. I use an example in my prosperity class that I've taught, and maybe some of you have heard this story before, but years ago, my sister and I were in Costco in Westlake Village. And a friend, someone I've known for years and years, was also there, and we stopped to chat. My sister's stepdaughter was a costume jewelry maker. And my sister had on these beautiful purple and electric blue and magenta earrings. She worked with that sort of molded plastic stuff, and they were just gorgeous. You could wear them with so many different outfits. My friend admired them, and my sister took those earrings off and handed them to her. 25 years later, every time I see that friend, she mentions the moment when she received the gift extended to her. And she was astonished by my sister's generosity, but she received it in the manner in which it was given. That's the big thing here. In class, that same week, I was wearing some 18-karat gold studs, gold balls that I got from a friend who visited South America. I asked the students if they would receive them if I offered them as a gift to them. And some got a little uncomfortable, but reluctantly, everybody in the class said they would receive them. Then I noticed that one of the women in class was wearing diamond studs and emerald studs. She had 2 holes in each earlobe. I knew they were real, and I asked if Shannon offered those as a gift, would they be able to accept them? First of all, the look of horror on Shannon's face was just comical to see. But at this point, we had reached a ceiling of receptivity for many of the people in class. And our receptivity comes with how we value things. How much value do I put on certain things? How much good can I receive? Then it becomes how much good am I willing to receive? The resistance or the rejection of an offer of kindness actually is of the divine givingness is in me and my limited view of what I'm worthy of receiving. I think, we don't have really terrible problems in this country, but we do have some self-worth issues. Some of us were raised by parents who went through the Depression, and there's always a little bit of resistance to our good, not having enough, I guess. But once again, the block is in the receptivity to an idea which in and of itself is unlimited. What God does for us is unlimited. We're the ones who put limitations on how we receive. We create excuses as to why we don't demonstrate in our lives. Oh, it's just too much to think about. Or my personal favorite, I just can't wrap my mind around that. I hear that so many times. So I have another little story, which was something I discovered a while back. Richard Rohr, who's a Franciscan priest, if he'd been my parish priest, I'd probably still be Catholic. I just love whatever he writes. He tells about a fellow he knows out of the Animas Institute in Durango, Colorado, who takes people on long fasts and vision quests into the wilderness with an attempt to lead people from an egocentric world view to a soul-centric worldview. And I'm not going to say they just go with a knife and a blanket, but maybe they do. I don't know. But like some of us in our teaching, The science of mind, we are saddened by how many in our world, even longtime members of this teaching, stay in the egocentric stage of life. Terry McBride used to call it our ego-centered personal priorities. You know, we have ego-centered personal priorities. We want what we want to experience in life is something to feed our own ego. Anyway, this fellow, as he tells the story of the people in post World War II Japan, who were helped to move from the identity of the first half of their lives to grow into the second half of their lives and more spiritually mature half of their lives, if you will. Some of these young men in the Japanese army in World War II started when they were 16 or 17 years old. And, you know, for 10 years, they've known nothing except a warring state for the Japanese. So someone had the wisdom to understand that many of these returning soldiers were not fit or prepared to re-enter civil or humane society. Their whole identity was wrapped up in their formative years of being a loyal soldier to their country, and they needed a broader identity. It's akin to what Ernest Holmes talks about in this chapter. If my whole identity is wrapped up in what I've been told to do or to be, or what I've been told I can have, then there's going to be a block to my ability to receive the good that God has in store for me. So today, our job is to accept our good, whether it's an opportunity to receive a piece of art or a complimentary lunch or the ugliest Christmas sweater you've ever seen. When we look at life as one big gift awaiting our recognition of it, you know, it's a smorgasbord of visual and tactile delights. It's sometimes difficult to wrap our minds around the fact that our God is a loving and generous God. If you will, you know, if we grew up in other religions where the Old Testament God was a punishing God and a wrathful God who needed anger management classes, we have some work to do in that area. And it's no wonder the word God triggers a lot of people. So then after the war, Japanese communities created this communal ritual whereby the soldiers were publicly thanked and praised effusively for their service to the country. After this was done at great length, an elder would stand and announce with authority something to this effect: the war is now over and served us well up to now. The community needs you to return as a person, a citizen, and something beyond a soldier. He said in his work with men, they call this discharging the loyal soldier. So I'm thinking that maybe we need something similar like this in our work as religious scientists in order to really understand what this new and benevolent God does for us. Our spiritual community may need to release and let go of any previous ideas we might have about spirituality, religion, dogma, etc., and discharge that loyal soldier. Think about it. Think about it for a minute. How many stories do we tell ourselves that need to be discharged? How many how many of us need to dismantle a structure of knowing that no longer serves us? We also need to discharge the loyal soldier of lack and limitation, of insufficient money, of self-worth. And we need to discharge the loyal soldier who believed in disease and ill health. The thing is, we can do this through practice in this thing called the science of mind. When it comes to the disease and ill health, nobody puts that disease or ill health in us. Nobody puts lack and limitation in us as a way of life. We somehow learned that by way of perhaps parents who did go through the depression and who said there was never enough. And that then breaks off into I am not enough. But David Walker, our founder, wrote a book called You Are Enough. And you know what? Get over yourself and remember that. And he would say it just like that. Stop thinking in the lowest form of our good and raise it to the best. Raise it to the best. You know, the kind of closure that the kind of closure that is necessary and much needed for most of us who are still grappling with the idea of moving into the next phase of life. Ernest Holmes said this. Next slide, please. Knowing God can work for us by working through us, let us begin today to accept more good than we experienced yesterday, and to know we will reap a harvest of fulfilled desires. So that brings up this idea. In order for us to be evolved, we have to be involved. And the involvement is, am I consistent with my spiritual practice? Are we there yet? So like everyone else here today, I am a work in progress. Now, I don't say this from a purely egotistical perspective, but I'm the greatest project I ever worked on. You all are the greatest projects you've ever worked on. You are the greatest project you'll ever work on. So restart, reset, refocus as many times as you need to. Just don't ever give up on yourself. The thing about what we do sometimes when we give up is it's like a white flag kind of giving up. But when we surrender, whatever it is that needs to be adjusted in my life or changed, or my thinking needs to be reoriented in some way, I'm the only one who can do that for me. So as Emma Curtis Hopkins would say, go out there today and get busy, knowing that with God, all things are possible. So thanks for having me today. I really appreciate it. Now welcome our guest musician back, Jesse Powers.
Thank you for that message,
You're
Dr.
welcome.
Maureen. I've got a song. When you told me about some of what you were going to talk about last night when we were chatting, this song came up for me. It's a song of mine called Let It Slide, and it's about letting more good in. So I've been dragging my feet again, can't seem to get my mind on the right track. And it's been a couple of months now, and I keep hoping I'll get that high back. Why do I wake up to the sun and see only dark? Child, let it slide. There's a little piece of heaven right before your eyes. Child, give it up. 'Cause if you keep on keeping it, you're gonna miss so much in this life. Don't you remember that clarity that you were promising you never forget? Where is that in your mind now? Has it been crowded out by your bitterness? Oh, and you can't make people stay. You can only change yourself. Oh, and the sooner you let go, the sooner you make room for something else. Child, let it slide. There's a little piece of heaven right before your eyes. Child, give it up. 'Cause if you keep on keeping it, you're gonna miss so much in this life. And I know it hurts, and it may feel worse than you expected it would be. But child, look around, there's no one here now. You are your only enemy. Yeah. Oh, child, let it slide. heaven right before your eyes. Child, give it up. If you keep on keeping it, you're gonna miss so much. Oh, if you keep on keeping it, you're gonna miss so much. Oh, if you keep on keeping it, you're gonna miss so much. Oh, if you keep on keeping it, you're gonna miss so much in this life.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for blessing us with your gift of music today. You're so cute too.
Oh, well,
That's the
thanks. I
best
appreciate
part.
that.
Getting to see someone while they're singing instead of just listening.
Yeah.
It's a nice thing. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
You're welcome. So one of the things that I forgot to mention in my talk this morning is this, um, a couple of years ago, I was, on a drive out to Palm Springs, and there was this huge billboard that said you are pre-approved. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? Chase Bank has pre-approved me, so apparently I'm good to go. I was obviously a sign for getting a credit card with Chase Bank. But what is interesting is that Dr. Keith always uses that Ernest Holmes quote, and I'm going to mess it up because I don't have it in my head, but God has placed its stamp of approval on you and called it you. So it's something like that. But you know what? We're approved when we say we're approved. We are valuable when we say we are valuable, not from that egotistical, that egocentric voice that some of us might have inside of us, but from the idea that I embrace all the qualities of God. I'm not all of God, but I embrace all the qualities of God. And that wonderful metaphysician Duke Ellington said so long ago, he said, pretty soon there won't be a pronoun good enough for God. So let it be said that, what the thing itself, what it does for us, it does through us, and the way it works is by our receptivity to it, our receptivity to it. So this is our time of offertory. And as Reverend Keith said, our spiritual community thrives and survives based on our conscious financial giving. And now is the time for us to step into our personal prosperity and abundance and give in a manner that reflects that. This week, the Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills received a huge donation from the Fresno CSL. And that coupled with our donation that we are giving to Ahaya CSL in Pasadena, who has just so lovingly and generously opened its doors to 10 members, 10 families in their congregation who lost everything in the Eaton fire. We get to do something like that for them. And people are donating in just overwhelming amounts of food and clothes and just the basic needs of people who've lost everything. So we our giving consciousness reflects that we truly do understand that God is the source and substance of our supply. The conscious giving links are on the screen right now. Please, even bill pay. If you do something on a regular basis and give a certain amount each week, you can use bill pay through your checking account, which is just so easy. And then if you have unexpected income, you get to write a check or send an additional amount. But we welcome your conscious contributions in the form of check, cash, or credit card. If you're sending a check or using Zelle or PayPal, we're grateful. And if you wish to use a credit card, go to the website at www.cslla.org. Click on home and then hit the donate link. Your other option is to use the donate tab on our app. You can find us in the App Store, CSL-LA. So please join me right now for our conscious giving affirmation, which is, I don't know if I did a slide for this, but if I didn't, just repeat after me yourself. Divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, to prosper, and to bless. It is evidence of my conviction that God is the source and substance of my supply. I joyously contribute to the vision of my center, knowing that it returns to me abundantly. And so it is. If what you heard here today appeals to you in any way, please go to our website and sign up to receive the weekly bulletin. You will find information about our in-person service on the second Sunday of each month, the weekly meditation, and so much more. Reverend Dr. Keith will be back next Sunday to enthrall you with his metaphysical brilliance. Come back the same time each Sunday for an enlightening and soul-searching message. We will do a little fellowship afterwards. If you want to stick around and chat for a little bit, that would be lovely. We will do the peace song, and I will do the closing treatment.
Perfect. Everyone, sing along. You know it. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
You're still muted, Dr. Hoyt.
Dr. Maureen, you're muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Maybe that's what I was supposed to be, is muted, and you were supposed to make it up for yourselves. But let's just know that whatever peace there is within me first and foremost. Whatever peace is in my community, my spiritual community, and out into my city and out into the county and the state of Los Angeles, that we are here by right of consciousness this morning. And you may have heard something that you don't believe, but you may have heard something that you do already believe. So we will offer that up as a gift that has been given to each and every one of us today. Simply by being here in physical form, we make a difference. We make a huge difference by our presence on this earth. And so when we know who we are and we can receive to the level that Spirit intends for us to receive, we can go out into our world and be generous beyond measure, because we know that I am enough, I have enough, and there is enough. And so from this place in consciousness, I joyfully receive and give thanks for this time to be here this morning, knowing that God is in the mix, all is well, as we say together, and so it is.